Welcome to the Noah Presgrave case. Today, I wanted to share with you a side-by-side comparison of what the party house looked like before and after the events of Noah's death. There is a collection of them which I got from Google Earth Pro, and I'm going to be doing a slideshow today so we can map things out, see what was once present, check for consistencies and also abnormalities. For example, if there is a screenshot, a photo of the location at the time of Noah's death, how does that differ years or a year after? Is there a change in items of interest on the map? Has anything been moved since? What's the activity levels like? Traffic related and much more. Be sure to stick around till the end of this video as it will be of your interest. And for anyone that is interested in this case and you need to catch up on previous videos, go to the top right corner of the screen where the eye symbol is, where the playlist can be located. Now, let's begin this video and see what we can find. To start off with, as you see, this was taken in 2024, arguably the latest satellite imagery available from Google Earth. There is an earlier one in 2024, which I'll share with you later, but I wanted to start off with this first to put it in perspective, the contrast as to what it looks like in 2019. You see the party house center of the screen, and then on the left you got like the barn or shed and a tree. In 2019, this is what it looked like. It's rather shocking and drastic, right? In terms of the dirt road leading down to the bottom of that like house and trailer, or more so trailer, and then at the top nearer to the highway, those buildings remain the same. But in the middle, where the party house was, it just wasn't there in 2019. And that's just so you can understand the history about the area, how things developed, what came first and then later. And to go side by side, where you see that tree, the black one, and almost like a triangular shape where that fence line is, that black line, you're looking at a small area, and the perimeter being the dirt road going up to the loop area and then across. Just this small little triangular section is what you see here, roughly speaking. That's how much smaller it was once before. There was track marks going across the field for like farming related stuff, but it was a very small fence line perimeter where there was a trailer of some sort with possibly an overhanging roof. Who lived there at the time in 2019? I'm not too sure, but if there's anyone that does know, you can always leave a comment down below in the comment section. That would be appreciated. But you can see the trailer was very, very close to that black tree, or at least the colour of it, as you see on screen. That's the tree there, the black pixels. And then when you compare it to this, it's a lot more developed, as you can see. Now, the only other difference would be the colour of the land surrounding area, but that could be a different time of the season it was taken and farm work done at one point, but then not at another, because the latest imagery, it's luscious green vegetation. But here, it looks rather dry and short, but it does change. You can see some surrounding fields as well. You've got the overhead power lines, that hasn't changed. But, 2019, and you look at it like this, it kind of reminds me of the Dylan Rounds case, the progression of how things were built, what was once there or what wasn't, which now is. But besides that, we do need to take a look at a bit more up-to-date imagery. And this is 2022. This imagery is awfully similar to the one here. And the reason why I'm using this one as a side-by-side comparison later on in the video is just because it's a bit clearer. If you wonder about the quality, I did take this photo on my phone from the computer screen just at the time, but I will zoom in, try and enhance it as much as I can. When you look at the land on here, it's, the bottom part, it looks very sandy, very tanned, but the surrounding area, when comparing it to this, right, a lot more developed, the land, what's present. So you still got that tree, no change there. But just behind it, you got some like weird tanned marks or skid marks, whatever's caused that. It doesn't quite show up clearly here, but in front of the house, I know the more you zoom in, it's harder to see, but that is a car or a vehicle, and it's white, like a white car. Does that have any relevance to the Noah Presgrave case, as in a witness or someone seeing a white car at a certain point around the time of Noah's death? Drop a comment below if it rings a bell of any sort. But there are some additional things which stand out, which weren't present when it came to the later footage, and I think we'll get to that very, very shortly. The context behind this is more like a screenshot or a photo from a text conversation, the point of view being Alicia Lee texting Caden Pressey and wondering why he's not with Georgia at the time. The timestamp being roughly 1:42 a.m. You might be able to see bottom right corner of the screen. This was September 4th, 2023, the day of Noah's death, but before those events unfolded. More so around the time of, 10:30 p.m. when Georgia first came on down. Caden Pressey, wasn't expecting that. And then things transpired from there on. Then later, Georgia getting drunk, Caden taking a photo, showing it with Alicia to give updates, and then Alicia then said, well, follow Georgia, if she goes to the toilet, follow her, make sure no one takes any photos of her, etc. Some time passed by of silence, and that's when Alicia checked her, whatever it was, an app or a tracker, and noticed that there was distance between Caden and Georgia, and Alicia wasn't too pleased about that. So, whilst that's the event there, the backstory, it was the photo itself which caught my attention. And there are similar themes when you compare this with this in 2022, though this is a lot clearer, so I'll be using this as the comparison. The only difference being is if you used to focus in on the barn and shed, just on the outside bit near to the entranceway, there doesn't appear to be anything there, no vehicles. But when you compare it to the party itself and vehicles that are present, you got one white looking car parked outside of the house near to the front porchway, which could be the same one what you see here. It's almost parked in the same exact spot. So you may be thinking that this vehicle belongs to whoever that lives at the house at the time. In terms of the barn and shed, up near to the doorway, there appears to be maybe one or two vehicles parked up. Now, this imagery isn't clear, but this is all I had to work with at the time. And whilst the main focus was of the pings, or at least where Caden was, where Georgia was, the actual image itself is just interesting because you've only got limited party footage on ground level. But if you get a bird's eye view, satellite imagery in real time when it was happening, that's even better. Though, what I will say is, whilst the time stamp is 1:42, and whilst the phone pings are real time in the moment then, during the party, the actual imagery itself, I'm assuming, is like real-time footage as well. I could be wrong. I just want to make that clear. I could be wrong because I know there are vehicles parked up there and there isn't in the other one here, not as many. I don't know what app this is. If it can be cleared up below, that'd be appreciated, because you never know. Some apps may be a tracker or navigation, and it may have updated beacons, markers or pings, but visually it's not real-time updated. I said I'm only working with what I've got. I'm trying to give a disclaimer too. But there are still similarities. Besides the traffic, the vehicle presence, there are objects and they do stand out. It's rather interesting because they're not present anymore. And as examples, that would be behind the shed, all of that. This big object here was rectangular, and this object there. And we're gonna go through it bit by bit. But before we do, this was the other 2024 satellite imagery which was taken months and months beforehand. And this is the current one, what we've got. How drastic is it? Well, you've got luscious fields behind, and then further up around the house, it's more brownish and dry. When you compare to this, it's more green. There's a difference. In this one, even though it's described as no one lives here now, or it's abandoned, or it's very quiet, it's interesting how there are still vehicles coming and going, like this one, which looks somewhat similar to the one in 2022. Still activity. But what's different about these two within a space of a few months besides the land itself? Take in mind, this isn't the best example, but this is all I had, because when you go on Google Earth, it only shows the latest imagery. If you go on Google Earth Pro, you can go back in time, and that's what I had done. But Google Earth Pro skips, it jumps about, it misses out key years. That's unfortunate. I think it goes from 2024 all the way to 2022, then 2019. And that's just typical of that, because the times, the moments where you want it to be specific, they just don't have it provided. So nothing you can do about it. Whilst this was still 2024, at that point, no vehicle parked up, maybe out somewhere or not living there at the time. I think there was still like a white box behind the shed area. Let me just adjust this. You got the trampoline back there. That's what that black circular thing is. Near to it, you got like an overhanging shadow casted from the roof. That's all it is. Not much going on, but I just wanted to make it clear for you. And you'll be able to see it here. That's the trampoline. That's the trampoline. The white box shaped thing is there. And it's here too. That doesn't change. But in the latest imagery, the trampoline is no longer there. It's not a big deal, but it just goes to show, whilst this place is semi or somewhat abandoned, nobody lives here, there are still cars coming and going and trampolines disappearing. Chucked away, thrown away, moved on. Might as well remain abandoned, right? If everything else is. Depends how you look at it. But the one thing that stood out to me, and this is where we do the side-by-side comparison between 2022 and 2024, both have a vehicle parked up, facing in different directions, no big deal. Car there, could well be the same one, what you see here. Both appear to be white. No trampoline, latest imagery, but years before, there was a trampoline. So it's like, spot the difference. Tree present with marks on the ground, whatever caused that. Tree here, but no marks present. Get off. But if we focus in on the barn shed area, besides that like white box on the side, some construction, you look behind the shed, the barn area, and it's pretty empty. But if you compare it to this one, there's clearly some stuff behind. I don't know if that's an RV trailer, a white trailer, a box, a storage unit. If anyone knows, you can leave a comment below. Could it be any farming equipment, trailers of some sort? It does stand out, and it does differ. Do you see it in the one by Alicia Lee? You don't. So it's hard to tell if it was there in between in 2023. However, the one thing that stood out to me most definitely, when talking about behind the party house, round the back, the area where the supposed side-by-side rollover took place, which Jack Newton said that was the location. Besides the trampoline not being present, what also isn't present are these two objects. You still got a bit of the shadow from the roof around the back, but in front of it you got like some green rectangular shaped and then like a white square box. What are these? Is it a swimming pool? Can't imagine it, but that's just how it looks like to me. What could it possibly be? Is it a tent? Some kind of building, construction? If anyone knows, you can leave a comment below. But you can clearly see it. There was something there, but it's completely gone in modern time. But what about the relevancy to the party, you may ask? Well, that's 2022. 2023 just so happens to have these objects behind the house. And take in mind, out of all the party footage what we've seen, we never saw any from round the back of the house. When it came to Noah getting slapped by Brylan, or someone walking into some wood or breaking an object, it was all on the front, near the front porchway. Nothing recorded publicly or posted publicly of party footage, people hanging out, doing whatever, round the back of the house. Why is that? If anyone does know, just leave a comment. I just thought it was interesting, especially with this being supposedly more relevant. This was at least in 2023, let's make that clear. But what was it and why did it go? Some people could say, how does this link in terms of solving what happened to Noah Presgrove? Well, the importance of this video is to provide a backstory so you're more familiar with the area, how it changed, activity levels too. If this was just a normal place where people live, okay, but it's not really been described as that. It's been described as quiet, abandoned, no one lives there anymore, no one bothers with it. Well, things get added, things move on, like such as objects and items. And I'm just interested with the theme of behind the house, round the back, whether that be items that were once there, clearly documented on satellite imagery, no longer now, but also possibly at the time of when it was a party which Noah attended. On top of that would be just any other abnormalities and just a theme of is there any footage out there of other areas of the party house property, the land, where there was some Snapchat videos or whatever, photos, selfies taken. All in all, hopefully you found this video somewhat interesting. If you want to hit the like button or share this video, that will be much appreciated. We'll see what happens next, but for now, my name's Warlike Ref. Thanks for watching, goodbye and good night.